Am I racist if I get annoyed by how African American people write or talk on social media? Grabs popcorn. Wait until they know about how some regions in the UK talk. I once heard a, "How am ya? I'ma be them balls gone all over the place." As a black person, I don't type that way most of the time, mainly for the sake of non-black people and to avoid racism. But I can see why other people would. It's mostly because that's the way they would say it if they were talking in real life. They'd say it that way in real life because of natural inflection and AAVE, which is basically another way of saying it's because of an accent. Africans didn't speak English before colonizers came, so there was certain phonetes they couldn't pronounce. That's actually how the word digger became digga, so that natural speech was passed down through generations and that eventually made AAVE. Anyways, you're not racist for being annoyed, since the reason you're annoyed is because you can't understand it and not because you don't like black people, which is understandable. A little off topic, but was your "I'ma be them balls gone all over the place" something that someone actually said, or was it an exaggeration? Are they using it with you or with each other? I'm black. I usually speak to other black people using a avenue. The reason why is because we share culture and we understand each other. I revert back to Southern slang when talking to others in my region. I use neutral English outside of the South. To be understood and communicate ideas is the point of language. I have the same issue with Scottish Twitter. It feels like a whole different language because it's written phonetically. But then I remember I'm not the audience and just scroll past. It's just a different dialect, AAVE. If someone only speak European Spanish, they may find Mexican Spanish more challenging. French has separate dialects in France, Quebec, Louisiana, and several parts of Africa. It's the same concept, just in English. You're allowed to be frustrated that you can't understand something. I encounter languages that I don't speak all the time, and it can be frustrating to miss out. But it is unreasonable to single out a specific dialect and treat it differently than any other. Text that you don't understand. Edit. Looks like Cantonese and Mandarin are typically regarded as separate languages. I have edited my comment accordingly. For the record, plenty of white people talk in code too. It can be frustrating that you don't understand some vernacular. But you can't expect other people to adjust their native language just to meet your needs. It's their language. FFS. Let them speak their own language. If you look at the news in many English-speaking Caribbean countries, the newscasters sound like BBC presenters. However, most people, when not in professional settings, speak patois. It took generations for the local dialects to become acceptable in written form. It's the same thing with creolized African American speech. Like Caribbean people, generations have endured derision because they spoke differently. Now, the written form has become more acceptable. You act as if you don't use slang with your first language. What's funny is you assume everyone who types that way is a black American. You'd be surprised by how many black people use perfect English and how many white people use the language you're insisting is African American. It is kinda racist because you're picking on one ethnic group when so many others bastardize the English language in writing and vocalization as well. E.g., certain groups of British people. There are many versions of English, and one is no more correct than another. American English is distinct from English English, which is different from Lowland Scots, and, particular to your point, African American Vernacular English. Singapore and India have distinct variants. as well as the huge regional variations within each of these systems. English is lucky in that most of its branches are mutually intelligible. It's not unreasonable to find it frustrating, but it is unreasonable to expect them to change to suit you or to appease you. People's obsession with black people, specifically black Americans, is something I will never understand. Folks just exist and going about their life, and here comes the but. Why does it concern you? Are they interacting with you? I'm sure your own language can have several shadings as well, but you don't realize it. I indistinctly use my own language in English. The latter I'm so and so. When I write in Italian, I naturally use a colloquial language also in writing, so I suspect non-mother tongue may misunderstand, but that's part of improving their own fluency of my language. Same for English having a huge and wider span, and as a consequence, dialects. You don't have to discriminate the gender or skin color. You have to just consider the language as a fluid thing. And that we never stop to learn. And we have to learn and not to rebuke people who do not write like we would like. It's almost like English can be spoken in different ways with different accents or dialects or slang. Would you be getting mad at Australians using slang, their dialect? No, you wouldn't. Take what you will from that. I swear the people in this sub have some sick obsession with black people. This is post number 6 today about anti-blackness, and the day isn't even halfway over. I can't for the life of my understand why this bothers you. I can't wrap my head around it. Why does it matter how people talk colloquially on the internet? Is it that serious?
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Eracast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.